And welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. And as always, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoy the show. Well, we're going to highlight Capitol Classics, which is based in West Hartford, Connecticut. And Jeffrey Sheehan, the co-founder, is my guest today. And Jeffrey, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having us.
What I like to do, which you and I just talked about before the show, is to introduce the guest to the viewer. So why don't you take us back into your background? Tell us about yourself.
Sure. Well, Connecticut born and bred, and got my BFA in acting from the University of Connecticut, and went on to a career in theater. I got my master's degree in theater from Wesleyan University. For the past 25 years, I have been a professor and program coordinator of theater at what for years was Housatonic Community College down in Bridgeport, but is now Connecticut State Community College at Housatonic. We founded Capitol Classics in 1991, myself and my wife, Laura Sheehan, when our first child was born. And since then, we've had 3 more and 3 grandkids, and kept this thing going for 33 years now.
Now, did you know growing up that theater was going to be a big part of your life? Were you a performer as you were growing up?
I did, but it was mostly school things. You know, my mother was involved in doing the school plays and so got us involved, but I loved it right away because when I in like 4th or 5th grade when we started to do the big school productions, down in Milford, Connecticut in school. And I remember thinking, boy, everything I get yelled at for in real life, I get encouraged to do while I'm on the stage. So I felt immediately at home in plays and on stage where they told me to get up, run around, and be loud, where in real life I was told to sit down, sit still, and be quiet. So I took a real quick liking to the theater and its imagination. But it wasn't until late in high school that I decided to pursue it professionally.
And when you pursued it professionally and you went on to college, were you going in as an actor or were you going in behind the scenes?
No, definitely as an actor. That's kind of all I knew I wanted to do at the age of 18. So I thought, well, let's pursue this and see where it leads. And then after college at UConn, I graduated in 1984. Soon just kind of moved around and did some theater around the country, lived out in Los Angeles with Laura for a few years, and learned from an experience I had out there by watching the 1988 national tour of the show Fences with James Earl Jones and Lynn Thigpen and Courtney Vance, that doing live theater was what I really wanted to do with the rest of my life. And so turned my attention to making that happen.
And then doing live theater, what brought you back to Connecticut? You getting more schooling? Did you also continue on with acting in your graduate work?
Yeah, well, I did. I studied theater and graduate work, excuse me, but what brought us back to Connecticut was the impending birth of our first child. Laura and I are both Connecticut natives. Our families are still here. And our families were important to us. So when it came time to have a family of our own, we wanted to share that with our family and be around our family while we did it. So we moved back to Connecticut, and I fortunately got a job working for the Hartford Stage Company for several years. And at that time, the only thing I really knew how to do was be an actor. But Laura and I noticed there was an absence of summer theater in Connecticut at that time. And certainly nobody was doing theater in Bushnell Park, which is where Capitol Classics first began. So the first 7 years of our existence, we performed outdoors in Bushnell Park. So we had the idea to do that, and Hartford Stage was an immense help to us. They allowed me to learn how theater operated. I picked everybody's brain who worked there, just knocked on their office and asked questions, and everybody there was incredibly generous with their knowledge and their support. So over the years, we just slowly learned and kept learning. And every year we said, okay, we need to get better at this, and kept trying to get better at it. And that's still our mentality today after 33 years. It was, okay, let's keep getting better at this. So that's how it all kind of began and keeps going.
Now, before we get into that, tell us about being an educator. How did that come about? Did you have to get certified to be able to teach? What are you doing at the school now?
Right. Well, at a college, you don't need to be certified. It's not that kind of a thing. You need to be an expert in your field. And Housatonic was looking for somebody to build a theater arts program. And at the time, I did have extensive experience in writing curriculum and developing curriculum, developing a program, managing people, and theater producing experience. So I brought all of my professional experience to work in building a theater arts program, which for many, many years was the only 2-year college program in theater in the state of Connecticut. And a lot of our students have gone on to further their education all the way up through master's degrees programs, as well as moving from our studies at Housatonic into the professional world. So we've been very supportive and successful in getting our students prepared. So while going to school there, one of the things I had to do was go get my master's degree, and I found the Master of Arts in Liberal Studies program at Wesleyan University, and I was able to get it and focus on theater in that study program, and that was incredibly helpful too. So all this stuff is kind of going on as you kind of figure out how you're going to live your adult life, And all through this, we had more children and built up our family. So our kids grew up in and around Capitol Classics as well, which has been really fun. They've all had some part in it, whether as musicians or actors or selling concessions when they were kids. So they've been an integral part of the Capitol Classics experience.
Okay, let's talk about Capitol Classics. What is it? I mentioned West Hartford. What are you folks all about? Tell us what's happening. And I know there are 2 plays going on now. Let's talk about it.
Great. So we started in Bushnell Park in 1991 doing a Shakespeare festival. And for years we did 1 play a year. And then in 1998, we did 2 plays in Bushnell Park. But because of certain situations that were happening in the park that didn't align with our artistic vision for the way we wanted to do Shakespeare, we moved out of Bushnell Park and were soon invited to become theater in residence at the University of St. Joseph's. At that time, it was St. Joseph College. They had just built the beautiful Bruyette Athenaeum with the Hoffman Auditorium inside of it. And Laura was working at St. Joe's at the time and was on the search committee for the director for the Art Center. When he had learned what Laura did with Capitol Classics, he invited us to come over, be theater in company in residence, and produce plays there, which we've been doing for over 20 years now. This is our 20th year doing outdoor Shakespeare on the campus at the University of St. Joseph's. So it's grown wonderfully as we've been there. It's a beautiful campus. We've got a great space right outside the Athenaeum. And we're very fortunate in that regard because there's the beautiful Hoffman Auditorium right inside the building. So if we should have inclement weather for our performances, we don't have to cancel. We get to move right inside where we have a second set already set up and ready to go with a full lighting design and everything. So we just move right into the auditorium. So as I said, this is our 20th season there and our first season doing 2 shows at St. Joe's. And we decided to do it in repertory this year. So in case folks were in town for a short amount of time, they could see both shows. And so it's set up to be able to do that. So we're doing Hamlet and the Taming of the Shrew, Wednesdays through Sundays. Wednesdays through Saturdays are 7:30 at night. Sundays are 5:30. We've got lots of pre-show entertainment as we go. There's concessions being sold while there, but a lot of people bring their own picnics and beverages and lawn chairs and blankets. Some of the setup is fantastic what people do when they bring things there. So it's a wonderful environment, beautiful, safe, plenty of free parking. It's a wonderful experience.
Now, Capitol Classics, does that equal performing outside? Is that what you had intended the whole time?
Yep, absolutely. The outdoor summertime Shakespeare festival idea for folks to gather together on the same piece of earth with the sky above us and the wind blowing through the performance as it does, the sun shining down on us most of the time, hopefully. And that's been the vision from the very, very start. Yeah, so as I said, we nurtured this along. We kept looking to get better at it and grow. Offer more opportunities. One of our parts of our mission is to provide opportunities for Connecticut-based theater artists. So we use folks who have decided to make Connecticut their home, but are still theater professionals. They often teach in college theater programs or at places like the Greater Hartford Academy of the Arts. We nurture students who come from college-level theater programs, often giving them their first paid job. So everybody who, even though we're a non-union theater company, everybody who works with us, designers, technicians, production personnel, actors, directors, musicians, everybody gets paid for their endeavor. So we consider ourselves a non-union professional theater company.
Yeah, not everybody gets paid, but you're paying all the people that are associated with it?
No, everybody does get paid. Everybody
That's
gets paid.
great.
Yeah, except for, like, administratively, that's handled by our board. So we have a volunteer administration. So all of our PR and our bookkeeping and all that kind of stuff is handled by the board. Our volunteer manager, Kathleen Fisher, oversees getting our ushers together, and we handle our box office through our board volunteers. But every artist and technician who's involved in the productions gets paid for their work. Absolutely.
Shakespeare has come up more than once. Is Capitol Classics all about Shakespeare?
Primarily, yes. It's a Shakespeare festival. And so for our summer productions, that's what we have always done, is Shakespeare. Over the years, we've done other endeavors. We've done a lot of radio-style theater, the old-fashioned radio with live Foley sound effects and music and scripts in the style of the golden age of radio. We've done some melodrama. We've done vaudeville acts. We've also done some contemporary work over the last few years, engaging in themes that are important to our community. We would survey our community to see what issues were most predominantly on their mind, and then we would pick a play that dealt with those issues. We would perform the play and hold conversations throughout the performance to get everybody talking. But those are the things that we decided to set aside and focus our energies and financial resources on expanding the summer festival, when a survey of our audience told us that that's what they wanted. They wanted more Shakespeare. So we're giving it to them.
Well, let's hold that thought. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You are tuned into Arts and Entertainment. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
VSCTV for the Valley Shore community. VSCTV for the Valley Shore community.
Fitness tracker fraud is the latest scheme targeting exercise enthusiasts, as scammers use the ability to connect through apps for romance cons. If a stranger starts asking personal questions quickly, shares emotional personal stories, and asks for financial help, be wary. Avoid posting pictures of yourself, accepting requests from strangers, or sharing personal information with them. And don't click on unsolicited links, which may allow scammers to download malware onto your device and track your digital footprint. For more tips from Better Business Bureau, visit bbb.org.
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. And again, as always, I hope that you're enjoying the show. Well, we're highlighting Capitol Classics, and Jeffrey Sheehan continues to be my guest. And Jeffrey, let's not forget about the website, capitolclassics.org. What will the viewer find when they go and visit it?
Every piece of information you could possibly want about Capitol Classics and the Greater Hartford Shakespeare Festival. You'll see photos of past productions, explanation and information that you would want, everything that you would want to know about how to attend the festival, links for tickets, information on what to bring, our inclement weather policy, directions, what pre-show entertainment, our calendar for pre-show, who's showing when, any kind of other ancillary activities that we have, the concessions that are being sold on campus, what to bring, where to park, all that kind of fun stuff. So it's all there for you.
Let's talk about your calendar. You're in two plays right now that are coming to a close.
Yep.
What does the rest of 2024 look like? Do you shut down? And what about 2025?
Yeah. So, yes, this upcoming weekend is our final weekend of the summer Greater Hartford Shakespeare Festival. We'll be performing Wednesday through Sunday. And this week, Wednesday and Saturday is Hamlet. Thursday, Friday, and Sunday will be The Taming of the Shrew. So after that, that will complete our performances for 2024. But we pretty immediately turn around and start selecting our plays for 2025 and start fundraising and looking to hire artists involved for 2025. It takes an awful lot of work to put together a Shakespeare festival. But in the meantime, we host and sponsor a Shakespeare book club through the West Hartford Public Library. That's a hybrid Zoom and in person. So anybody from anywhere can join us on the first Mondays of every month from October through May, where we pick a theme for each year, we select the plays, and we all get together on those Monday nights and talk about it. So that will also be revealed very shortly, what the theme and play selections are for the book club, and then what summer 2025 will look like. But it looks like we will definitely be continuing this two-show in repertory endeavor. It was very successful this year. Our community seems very happy to have so much opportunity. They supported us well. And we've had lots and lots of people come out and join us. So I see no reason not to do it again.
Now, when you're saying Shakespeare Festival, when do you start and when do you end in that yearly time frame?
Yep. Right, sure. So the performances this year ran from Wednesday, July 10th through Sunday, August 4th. So it's a 4-weekend, 20-performance festival. So we work throughout the whole off season on the fundraising and administration and organizing. We hold auditions in March, usually, for actors. And we post those notices in February all around through our social media channels and things on Facebook, groups like that, to get the word out. And then announcements start as to what it's going to be. So it will be those same kind of 4 weeks in 2025, that same kind of early July through early August, those same 4 weeks.
Now, you had mentioned earlier about you and your wife starting this. How has it been having family involved in this creative endeavor? Crazy.
But a lot of fun. It was wild doing all this while raising young children, but they've appreciated it. Two of our board members, Kathleen Fisher and Edwin Thrower, during the pandemic wrote a book that you can purchase through our website, as well as other Capital Classics merchandise. But they wrote a book called Love's Labor's Won, about the first 30 years of Capital Classics, in which they interviewed a lot of folks who had been involved in those first 30 years. In one chapter, they interviewed our children as to what it was like growing up involved in Capital Classics and what that has meant to them. So that has been pretty cool. Our daughter, because of this experience, is now a professional actor herself and is often in our show. She's in our summer festival this year. She's playing Katerina in Taming of the Shrew, and the role of Horatio, Hamlet's trusted, honest friend in Hamlet. So it's been great. As I said, some of our sons have performed either as actors, and then two of our sons are musicians, and they've performed as musicians in many of our productions as well. So it's just been a great way to instill artistry and creativity and community service projects, doing things that are beneficial to a community, and then thinking big picture in that way. It's been a great foundation block for our family and the life that we've lived. And Connecticut has been a great place to do that. It's a great supportive environment for the arts, both publicly. The people, the citizens and businesses have been supportive, as well as the Connecticut Office of the Arts. There are several foundations who, over the years, have supported us, like the Roberts Foundation for the Arts and the John and Kelly Hartman Foundation, Ensworth and Long charitable foundations. So lots of folks have supported us. It's a great, all-encompassing endeavor in which everybody gets involved. And our community really appreciates it. We hear a lot of times from people who tell us how long they've been coming, that it's the one thing they really look forward to each summer. We've met people who gather with friends every year. That's the place they gather with friends, is at the Shakespeare Festival that we do. And so it's a really wonderful thing to see what impact this has had on our community and how much the community values and appreciates it. That means a lot to me, to know that they feel that way about what we're doing.
Now, you've been doing this quite some time, a long time. Do you foresee it going on for many years to come? Have you thought about stopping it at all?
Well, the joke with my wife and I is, yes, we've been doing this for 33 years and we quit every year. But then, we suck it back up and we value it way too much to really quit. But then we get back at it. So I sure hope it continues on. We've been doing this for more than half of our life now. And of course, at some point, we're not going to be involved in it. That's just the natural way of things, right? So we certainly hope that our board and our community will carry it on. I think it's certainly strong enough and the community supports it enough. So yes, I do see it continuing on well past our involvement in it.
The 2025 calendar, when do you start thinking about what you're going to do in the following year? Do you read plays? I mean, is there a discussion? What is it that you aim for in the next year that's coming?
That's a great question. We've already started thinking of it. For me, because I've directed Hamlet, once Hamlet opens, my artistic job is pretty much done. And then I help out with some of the producing of the actual festival, the operation of the festival. But a lot of those jobs are covered by our board. So I just got to stay around and talk to our audience people, which is a lot of fun. So my mind just automatically starts thinking forward. And one of the things we've always done with Capitol Classics is a group of artists who is involved in it all we look to see, okay, who is inspired to tell a particular story? Is there a role that one of our artists wants to play? Is there a story they want to tell that's in one of Shakespeare's plays? Is there something happening in our world today that one of Shakespeare's plays wrestles with and reflects for us? So we look for inspiration first and foremost. And then we build from there. So we know Shakespeare's canon, at least I do. I know Shakespeare's canon pretty well. And so we look for plays that we either have never done or haven't done for a very long time. And that's when we were choosing the plays for this year. We hadn't done Hamlet since 2008. And that was the play I was inspired to tell. There was aspects of the young people in Hamlet and the things that they were facing, this coming of age into a world of power and greed and duplicitousness and manipulation and lying that unfortunately I see in our global politics and power structure even today. I see young people struggling with where they fit in that, and young people struggling with the aspects of mental health, which is a big part of Hamlet, the play. So I was inspired to investigate that story through Hamlet. And then, well, what play went with it? We started, of course, it had to be a comedy, and we'd never done Taming of the Shrew. So our committee to decide what plays to do chose that one. So now we'll look forward to 2025 and see who among our group of artists is inspired to do something. What haven't we done in a long time? What do we think our audience would appreciate seeing? What ideas might come from the plays themselves that our audience, we would want our audience and our community to be thoughtful about. And then we pick a pair and move forward.
Well, I want to thank you very much for being here today. We have run out of time.
Oh, wow, that was fast.
I know it does go fast, but I thank you very much for being here. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me, Deborah. It's great talking to you.
Okay. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You've been tuned in to Arts and Entertainment. In case you need to reach me, I'm at artsandentertainment@mail.com. Well, I hope you have a super day today. Hope you've enjoyed the show, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.